Book of Heaven, Volume 26, Part 6. June 9th, 1929. Inseparability of one who lives in the divine will. Example of the breath. Example of the sun, how it lords over everything and goes in search of everything. Such is the divine will. Contest between the two suns. My abandonment in the divine fiat is continuous, and its light eclipses my little intelligence so much that I can do nothing else but think now about one truth, now about another, concerning the divine will. And the more I think about it, the more beautiful and majestic it makes itself before me. And with an unspeakable love, more than a tender mother, it opens its womb of light and delivers a birth of light to enclose it in its little daughter. Now, while I was in this state, my sweet Jesus told me, "My daughter, each breath is the life of the next one that follows. So much so, that as one is about to release one breath, before it is emitted completely, it calls for another breath. So it can be said that the breath has its life and gives life to the creature because it is continuous. They are so united and close among themselves as to be inseparable. And so also for the beating of the heart. One heartbeat calls for the life of the next heartbeat, and the continuous beating forms the life. So much so that if the breathing and the beating cease, life no longer exists. Such is the soul who does and lives in my divine will. Her identification, her closeness with it, is such and so great, more than our breaths and heartbeats close among themselves. Therefore, the acts done in my divine fiat are like many breaths or heartbeats that the creature does in God, in such a way that she becomes the divine breathing, and my fiat forms her breathing. So it is life that they mutually exchange, to form one single life. Therefore, the acts done in our divine will are inseparable from us, and we feel the contentment of breathing our work and of feeling as our own the work that has come out of us, and of letting her live in our house, and so close to us as to breathe her very breath. Then I continued doing my acts in the adorable fiat, and my always lovable Jesus added, "My daughter, from the height of its sphere, the sun extends its great wheel of light and embraces the earth, giving it the life of its effects of light, so as to make it germinate. It gives the kiss of life of its light to each plant, to each flower, to each tree, so as to impress upon each plant, for some, the life of fragrance, for some, color, for some, sweetness. It wants to give its embrace and kiss of life to all. It denies itself to no one. It does not reject, whatever the thing might be, even the tiniest blade of grass. On the contrary, wanting to act as a queen who wants to pour her own self out, the light itself goes in search of all. It wants to recognize everything, so as to form in all things the life that is needed for each plant. It would not feel itself queen, nor the right to be queen, if its light did not give its life to everything. So much so that in its great wheel of light it encloses everything, and it seems that all lap up the life, the beauty, the variety of colors, the growth, from the light of the sun. Nor does it skip over the sea, the rivers, the mountains, to form in them its silvery tints, and the horizon of gold and of silver in the background behind them. Oh, how the sun lords over everything with its light, but not in order to oppress or do harm to anyone, rather to vivify, to embellish, and to give itself as life of everything. It seems that in its mute silence it says to all, "How much I love you! My love is as vast as my great wheel of light. My love for the earth is substantial and full of life, nor do I ever change. From the height of my sphere, I am always at my place, to embrace it, love it, and give it life." Therefore, the earth lives within the great wheel of its light, and each thing keeps its mouth open in order to receive the life of the effects of the light of the sun. Oh, if, may this never be, the sun could withdraw from the earth, or the earth could oppose receiving the goods and the life of the light of the sun. There would be no daylight, but perennial nighttime, and the earth would remain without life, without color. Sweetness would not exist, more than squalid misery. What a dismal change! What terror would the earth become! Such is my divine will, more than sun for creatures. In its endless great wheel of light, it goes in search of everyone, to make itself be recognized, and to form in each creature its life of beauty, of sanctity, of light, and of infinite sweetness. It wants to destroy all bitternesses, uglinesses, miseries in them, and with its kiss of life, breathing over them, it wants to transform them into what is good, beautiful, and holy. But alas, the sun created by my fiat does so many prodigies for the earth, and with its own unique majesty, it lays over it its mantle of light, of beauty, and at each of its touches, it gives the life it possesses to each plant. And my fiat remains with the sorrow of not being able to communicate the goods it possesses and its divine life to souls, because they oppose receiving it, and do not want to lap up the light of my volition. And therefore they are like the earth, if it could oppose receiving the light of the sun. In full nighttime, squalid, weak, and many of them are terrifying to look at. My divine will is pregnant with so many divine lives, of so many beauties, and of so many goods, that it wants to give to them. It would want to pour its own self out in order to enclose the creatures within its womb of light, and make of each of them a prodigy of sanctity, of beauty, one distinct from the other, to form its heaven on earth. But the human will opposes it, and my Fiat feels the intense pain, more than a mother when she cannot deliver her child to the light. And so, this is why my daughter, my divine will, wants to make itself known. It wants to form its kingdom, because these children belonging to it will live voluntarily within and of its light. They will remain with their mouths open to receive its kisses, its embraces, and its affections, in order to form its divine life in them. Then, yes, will the prodigies that my volition knows how to do and can do be seen. Everything will be transformed, and the earth will become heaven. And then the sun that is there under the vault of the heavens, and the sun of my eternal volition, will hold hands. Even more, they will engage in a contest to see which one can make more prodigies, the sun for the earth, and my will for souls. But my will make greater display, so much so as to form a new enchantment of prodigious beauties never before seen, for the whole of heaven and for all the earth. June 14th, 1929. Accounts with Jesus. The Soul, Bank of the Divine Will. Unforgettable Memories. Eden. I was continuing my round in the Supreme Fiat, and my little mind, arriving at Eden, was saying, "Adorable Majesty, I come before you to bring you my little interest of my I love you. I adore you. I glorify you. I thank you. I bless you. To give you my little interest, because you have given me a heaven, a sun, an air, a sea, a flowery earth, and everything that you have created for me. You once told me that each day you wanted to do the accounts with me and receive this small interest of mine, so that we may always be in agreement, and keep the whole creation given to me by you as little daughter of your will, safe inside the little bank of my soul." But while I was doing this, a thought told me, "But how can you satisfy an interest so great? And besides, how great at all is your I love you, I adore you, I thank you?" But while I was thinking this, my sweet Jesus moved in my interior and told me, "My daughter, this was an agreement between me and you, that I would put the whole creation in the bank of your soul, and you would have to give me the interest, filling it with your I love you, I adore you, I thank you. And since I saw you hampered because of a capital so great, and fearing that you might want to reject this great gift from me, in order to encourage you to receive it, I said to you, I am content with a small interest, and we will do the accounts every day here in Eden. In this way, we will remain in agreement and always in peace. And you shall not be worried that your Jesus has placed in your bank a capital so great. And then, don't you know the value of an I love you in my divine will? My will fills the heavens, the sun, the sea, the wind. Its life extends everywhere. Therefore, as you say your I love you, I adore you, and everything else you might say, my fiat extends your I love you in the heavens, and your I love you becomes more extensive than the heavens. Your I adore you extends in the sun, and it becomes larger and longer than its light. Your I glorify you extends in the wind, and it wanders through the air, throughout the whole earth, and it moans the blows of the wind, now caressing, now mighty, say, I glorify you. Your I thank you extends within the sea, and the drops of water and the darting of the fish say, I thank you. And I see the heavens, the stars, the sun, the sea, the wind, filled with your I love you, with your adorations, and the like. And I say, how content I am that I placed everything in the bank of the little daughter of my will, because she pays me the interest wanted by me. And since she lives in it, she gives me a divine and equivalent interest, because my fiat extends her little acts and renders them more extensive than the whole creation. And when I see you coming into Eden to give me your small interest, I look at you, and I see in you my divine will doubled, one in you and the other in me, while it is one. And I see myself being paid the interest by my will itself, and I remain satisfied. And oh, how content I am in seeing that my fiat has given to the creature the virtue of making itself be doubled, so as to let her satisfy her Creator. My daughter, how many unforgettable things there are in this Eden. Here, our fiat created man, and made such display of love that it poured itself in torrents upon him. So much so that we still feel the sweet murmuring with which we poured ourselves over him. Here began the life of our fiat in the creature, and the sweet and dear memory of the acts of the first man done in it. These acts exist still now in our volition, and are as though pledges for him to be reborn in order to have the kingdom of our fiat again. In this Eden there is the sorrowful memory of the fall of man, the exit he made from our kingdom. We still hear his steps when he went out of our divine fiat. And since this Eden had been given to him so that he would live in it, we were forced to put him out, and we had the sorrow of seeing the work dearest to us without his kingdom, wandering and sorrowful. Our only relief were the pledges of his acts that had remained in our will. These called for the rights of humanity to enter again the place from which it had gone out. This is why I await you in Eden, to receive your small interest, to renew what we did in the creation, and to receive the return for a love so great, not understood by creatures, and to find a loving pretext to give the kingdom of our divine will. Therefore, I want this Eden to be dear to you as well, that you may pray us and press us that the beginning of creation, the life of our Fiat, may return into the midst of the human family. June 19th, 1929. The divine will and the operating life of it in the creature. Difference between one who lives in the Fiat and one who does not. My poor mind was wandering in the divine Fiat. I felt the sweet enchantment of its enrapturing light, and I thought to myself, but what is this divine will in my poor soul? And my beloved Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, my daughter, what fortune yours is to live under the sweet enchantment of my divine volition. Don't you know that when it takes possession of the creature, it forms in her its operating life, in such a way that it operates in the one in whom it reigns, just as it operates within itself? And more than, Queen, it imposes itself over everything. It extends with its light in the littleness of the creature. It forms in her its sweet enchantment for the human will, so as to be more free to form its life. And since the divine life of my Fiat is composed of repeated acts, never interrupted, it is not subject to stopping, and this is why you feel within yourself an act that never ends, a light that is never extinguished, a love that always burns. Not so for those who do not live in my volition. They feel the divine life interrupted in their interior, their acts broken. They feel themselves now one way, now another. Their will is not invested by a continuous light that sweetly nourishes them and enchants them, such that, feeling the sweetness of my volition, they would give not a thought to entering the field in order to operate in a human way. And if they feel the light, it is at intervals. A symbol of one who lives in my divine will is one who could be able to remain always under the sun. Its light never ends, nor does it need to be fed in order not to become extinguished. So, one who could live under the sun would feel light raining down constantly upon herself. And since the light contains admirable effects, she would nourish herself with sweetnesses, with fragrances, with varieties of colors, with lights, in such a way as to feel the very life of the sun being formed within herself. On the other hand, one who does not live in my will, be it even one who is not evil, is symbolized by one who lives under the light of the low world, that has neither the virtue nor the power to form a sweet enchantment of light, such as to eclipse her so much that she would not be able to look at anything but light. And it is subject to becoming extinguished very often, because it does not possess by nature the continuous nourishing virtue. And if it is not nourished, her light ends. And since a light formed by the creature possesses neither sweetness, nor colors, nor fragrances, she cannot feel the life of that light being formed within herself. What great difference between one who lives in my divine will and one who lives outside of it. May everything be for the glory of God and for the good of my poor soul. June 27th, 1929. Present for Saint Aloysius. How it was necessary that Jesus intertwine Luisa in the manifestations on the divine will. Transmission of human and divine. Divine rights that the creature acquires. Having received Holy Communion, I was offering it for the glory of Saint Aloysius, and I offered, as a present for him, everything that our Lord had done in his divine will, with his mind, with his words, works, and steps, for the accidental glory of Saint Aloysius on his feast day. Now, while I was doing this, my sweet Jesus moving in my interior told me, "My daughter, a more beautiful present you could not give to dear Saint Aloysius on the day of his feast. As you were offering your communion, and all my acts done in my divine will, so many sons were formed for as many acts as I did in it while being on earth. And these sons invested Saint Aloysius in such a way that he received so much accidental glory from the earth that he could not receive more. Only the offerings of acts done in my divine will have the virtue of forming their sons, because containing the fullness of light, it is no wonder that it converts into sons the human acts done in it." After this I was thinking to myself, how is this? In all the things that blessed Jesus has told me about his divine will, my poor person is always intertwined in the middle. Only rarely, a few times, has he spoken only about his supreme fiat. But while I was thinking about this, my sweet Jesus came out from within my interior and told me, "My daughter, it was necessary that I intertwine your person in the manifestations I have given you about my divine fiat. First, because each manifestation I gave you was bonds that I formed between you and my divine will. It was gifts and properties that I entrusted to you, such that as you were endowed with them, the human family was being bound to the new acquisition of the kingdom of it. If I did not intertwine you in the middle, it would be neither bonds nor gifts that I would give, but simple news. And therefore, in order to give you a manifestation about my divine will, I would wait for an act of yours, a little pain of yours, and even just one I love you of yours, so as to take the occasion to speak to you. I wanted of your own, in order to give you of my own, and be able to give you the great gift of my divine volition. And then, all our external works are a transmission of divine and human. In the very creation, there is a continuous transmission. Our fiat created the heavens, It studded them with stars, but it called to life, matter, in order to do it. It created the sun, but it called to life the light and the heat as the material with which to form it. It created man. First I formed his statue made of earth. I infused the human soul in him, and then I created the life of my love over this soul. And then my divine will transmitted itself with his in order to form its kingdom in the creature. There is not one thing come out of us and created by us in which there isn't this transmission of human and divine. In our most beautiful works, the creation, the Immaculate Queen, the word humanate. There is a footnote here for the word humanate. The word made human, that is, the incarnate word. In our most beautiful works, the creation, the Immaculate Queen, the incarnate word, the human and the divine are so bound together as to be inseparable. And so the heavens are brimful of God, narrating my glory and our power and wisdom. The Immaculate Queen, my bearer, my humanity, the incarnate word. Now, wanting to make my divine will known, after the first transmission I made in Eden, that was rejected from me, in order to be able to put the kingdom of my divine Fiat out in the field again, it was necessary for me to form the second transmission. And how could I do it if I did not intertwine another creature, with bonds almost inseparable, in the knowledges, in the light, and in the very life of my eternal volition? And if I did not intertwine you in it, transmitting you into it, and it into you, you would not have felt within you either its life or its permanent light, nor would you have felt within you the necessity to love it and the yearning to know it more. And so this is why I put you and me in the condition, you of giving to me, and I of giving to you. And in that reciprocal giving, I would form the knowledge that I wanted to give you, and the transmission of my divine will with yours was realized, rendering you the conqueror of the great good that I was doing to you. Then, continuing in my abandonment in the divine Fiat, that is such that, as much as I hasten to cross all of it, I can never manage. On the contrary, I see that much way is left to me to go within its sea of light, to the point that I cannot even catch sight of where its endless boundaries end. So, as much as I hasten, my journey will never end. I will always have something to do, and a way to go within the sea of the eternal volition. Then my sweet Jesus added, "My daughter, how great is the sea of my will! It has no beginning and no end. Therefore the littleness of the creature can neither cross it nor embrace it all. However, one who lives in it finds herself on the way in the center of the sea, as it will never be given to her to go out from within its center, because she will never find either a shore or a boundary of it. On the contrary, in the front and in the back, on the right and on the left, she will find nothing but sea of divine will, and for each act that she emits in it, she is given a divine right back. In fact, since her act has been done within and together with my divine volition, with divine justice it communicates to the soul the right of the divine light, the right of its sanctity, the right of its beauty, of its goodness, of its love. She lives in the sea of my will by right, not as a stranger, but as the owner, because she has her acts changed into divine rights that have rendered her the conqueror of my divine will. And if you knew how much we delight, how happy we feel, in seeing the littleness of the creature living in the sea of our volition, not as a stranger, but as the owner, not as servant, but as queen, not as poor, but as immensely rich, and rich in our conquests that she has made in our fiat. Therefore, one who lives in our divine volition will feel within herself, by right, the dominion of light, the dominion of sanctity, the dominion of beauty, and of making herself as beautiful as she wants. She has goodness at her disposal, love as the substance of her acts, my divine will as her own life, and completely her own. And all this by divine right, given by our very selves. Therefore, be attentive in multiplying your acts in our adorable fiat. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 26, Part 6. Fiat.